Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. If you're just joining us, Eric CT, and we're joined by our guest host Anki Doris from KTN.
Hola. Hola, hola.
Yeah, so Ndu is in Nigeria. She's attending a big event that's taking place. It's a 3-day event, the coronation of a king. And she'll send us pictures and we'll see. So this hour, first of all, let's talk about convenience. That's what we're going to be talking about even with our guest who's joined us, who is the general manager for rides at Bolt Kenya. We are talking about convenience. Convenience number one, apps. One app for bank called NCBA Loop. It's not just an app, they say. It's a lifestyle. And you know why it's a lifestyle, Anki? Because with Loop gives you access to easy loans, faster loans, not easy, just faster loans. Let's call it fast, all right? So you can get up to 3 million shillings of personal loan. You can get up to 100,000 shillings of overdraft facility. If you're running a small business and you're on Loop, then you're also able to advertise your business on Loop to everybody else who has downloaded Loop. With that same app, you can send money, you can receive money, you can put money in different wallets. So you can decide, you know what, I'm running different projects. I want a wallet for project A, so you'll be saving money and putting it into that wallet and you're watching it grow. You can also invest using this app. So many things. That's why they say it's not just an app. It's a lifestyle.
A lifestyle.
Convenience number one, tick. You go to convenience number two?
Check.
Okay. Safaricom Home Fiber.
Ooh.
Okay. Again, for you to operate this Loop and all these other apps in India and you're to operate from home and you're running your small business from home, it's good if you have reliable internet connectivity. Is it not?
Right.
Very good. Now, the way to get reliable internet connectivity is by signing up to the Safaricom Home Fiber. They have increased the speeds. They've said, you know what, we have been investing in this area for over 10 years. We started doing the last mile connectivity of fiber 10 years ago. We have spread across all the major cities and towns. We have over 500,000 customers who are connected, not just home, but home, small office, home, medium-sized office, home, whatever. So they have various packages from bronze to silver to gold, all the way to platinum. And there are various, each of them has different speeds. So, for example, 2,999.
Bronze.
That's bronze. Just compare that one. You've been getting 10 Mbps. Now, without even having to ask them, it's 15 Mbps. And so on and so forth. Okay? Gold, for example, have been getting 40 Mbps. They're automatically now getting 80 Mbps. That is some super good speed. It means that now you can watch 3/7 movies from 3/7 devices at the same 3/7 times. Okay? This guy, for example, CT, likes watching 3/7 movies at the same 3/7 times. Now he can even enjoy it much better. Yep. Convenience number two?
Check.
Convenience number three, still Safaricom.
Okay.
So you're calling, you want to order your Bolt, and so you're online, you want to order your Bolt, you have ordered your Bolt, it's started telling you, all right, so the Bolt ride is coming.
Right.
Driver so-and-so will be with you shortly.
2 minutes
They are
away.
driving this car. It is this color. It is this registration number. You know what you're using? You're using your mobile data. Senor. And then it starts telling you when the driver, get ready. You know, these guys sometimes they like calling you. Ati umesema uko wapi? Sifuate map, but that's not the,
Ipina nileta huko nyuma.
that's not the issue. Now, can you imagine if you run out of data at that time? And you're waiting for your ride to come. So you're like, Sasa, watch I first of all go and load data so that I can now see where is my Bolt? Is it coming? Is it not? Safaricom have said, all in one package. For 30 days, take one package, pay one amount of money. It gives you data, it gives you call minutes, it gives you SMSs, it gives you free WhatsApp. So, for example, 2,000 shillings. What do you get, CT, with 2,000 shillings?
Well, with the 2,000 shillings, you get talk time below 1,000 minutes of talk time.
Imagine.
Like you talk. Okay, you wonder now, this talking, is it going to come to an end?
How many SMSs?
SMSs, but those things are a bit many. Me, I wonder, these SMSs, did they say it's also in the thousands? 2,000 SMSs.
2,000
What am I going to do
SMSs?
with 2,000 SMSs?
2,000 SMSs.
Who am I going to SMS to?
So
Yeah, but for
the
me,
bit that I like, I love about it, by the way, Now, Ile, what's up? What is up? Free.
Nice. Wait, I can send videos as well?
Free.
Pictures Avin can edit and not complain about.
Free, what is up?
Free.
What
Free
is
means
up?
you don't
Free.
pay for it.
What is up?
That's what it
Free.
means. Free.
Zero free.
Yes.
Not the Kenyan free.
And data, for that same 2K, 17 GBs of data.
Hey, nani ananiguza?
Now, you 17 GB. So you'll go mad with it.
I will. Crazy. Absolutely.
So,
I will call you guys all the time, every day before the show. Make sure I have all the information. Take pictures, send
now
you.
you
Yeah.
tell me.
Which cloth
if
for the
that
day?
isn't a deal.
You order a Bolt to get to the end of the ride, you tell the Bolt driver, I liked your company.
Ah,
I can still follow you wherever you're going. It's all right.
I'm not doing this with you, Latif.
Let me tell you. If that isn't a deal, what is a deal?
Oh, what better deal?
Precisely.
So it's about convenience this morning. And when the ride-hailing apps came into Kenya, we started noticing actually there's convenience. There's convenience now that you don't have to keep thinking about having a cab guy. And your cab guy, you're calling him and tells you, Niko Dheka, utanikojea masabiri. And you're like, oh my God. And this is the guy that you know, and he's the one who knows your home. He's the one you trust. You now have your cab guy as an app. You want to hail it, you hail, it comes. Problems started emerging when those drivers who now went into the ride-hailing apps started making noise. Oh, watu wanatukula pesa yetu. Oh, watu sisi ndio tunaendesha gari, sisi ndio tumenunua gari, sisi ndio tunaweka mafuta, sisi ndio tunaenda garage, alafu wao ndio wanakula pesa. And you're like, okay, now what? A couple of weeks back, you would get into a cab and they ask you, imekuambia pesa ngapi? Hapana. Hii ndio bei. Hii ndio bei.
Yeah, original.
Yep. People started complaining that some of them would even lock the doors
Yeah,
and tell you, come Lipi, my friend, I am moving around with you.
yeah.
See? Those kind of things, you start wondering, now, Kina Bolt, what's wrong with these people? Why are you eating their money now? Mimi, shida yenu nimeingilia wapi? You know? That's why we decided, let's have this conversation with these people. We called Bolt, we told them, come. And Bolt is on the hot seat this morning, represented by the General Manager for Rides in Bolt, Kenya, Linda Ndongo. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. It's
How are
great
you?
to be here.
Good to have you back here.
Yeah.
And we're going to have all these conversations
Yes.
about the pricing dynamics that you have and the model of business that you run. Okay?
Yes.
Just for us to understand and to understand why you're doing what you're doing to the drivers, if at all. But Siti will welcome you with the day's proverb. Siti, tell her the proverbs are from the Kingdom of Morocco, right?
Yes, they are from the Kingdom of Morocco. In case you didn't know, Morocco is a monarchy. As a king, Mohammed VI. We will not go into the fifth, fourth. I can see Yankee smiling. But this isn't one of those ceremonial monarchies. This is a serious monarchy where the king is a commander of the faithful. He's a commander of the Moroccan armed forces. He's the head of the Supreme Council of the Judiciary. He is the one who decides who's the prime minister after an election has been held and a particular party has won the election. He has the power to remove and change ministries. He has the power to terminate parliament. That's what you call real power.
Yes,
That's a
powers.
real king.
Yes, and this king doesn't have a constitution like ours, definitely. Because if it did, our constitution would also have such things. Yes.
Today's proverb.
What is in the head of the camel is not in the head of the camel driver.
What's in the head of the camel is not in the head of the camel driver. What's your interpretation here, Linda?
Interesting. Before my interpretation, who said this proverb? Was it the king?
That is a really, really good question. That is what I am now going to do with the other proverbs. Every time I quote a proverb, I'll be finding out who actually said it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thus far, I've merely been looking at proverbs for the country and not even asking who said it.
Yeah.
But I will be asking that question.
Yeah, and I ask that because, when we talk about what's in the head of the camel is different from what is in the head of the camel driver, you said?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
It depends on whose perspective, right? Probably the owner of the camel realized, you know what? My thinking around what this camel should do, where it should go, how it should behave, is very different because our perspectives are different. So I suspect it wasn't the king. I suspect it's the people who own the camels that actually realized, I need to understand my camel. I need to understand what drives it. I need to understand its motivation. This camel wants to eat. This camel wants, water. This camel needs rest.
Exactly.
I, as a camel owner, I want this camel to do things for me. I want it to transport my goods. I want it to move me around. So how do we find this area that works for all of us? And that's what I see in that proverb. It's about putting yourself in the other person's shoes, putting yourself if you're in a partnership, if you're in a relationship, if you're in an employer-employee kind of arrangement. Put yourself in the shoes of the other person. What are their needs? What are they trying to achieve? And if we all do that, then we'll have alignment and we'll have harmony.
You put it very well. I honestly couldn't have put it better.
Makes a lot of sense.
Makes
Makes a lot of sense. So, Bolt, you've been operating in this country for how long now?
Oh, since 2017, a long time.
Okay.
Yes.
Uhuru came, Uhuru went.
Yes.
Ruto came, Regale went.
Yes.
Okay, on his way out. On all those things. And Bolt is still operating.
We're
How
still
many
here.
drivers are on your network?
We have, give or take, about 30,000 couriers and drivers across the ride-hailing and the food side of the Bolt business.
Okay. In how many parts of the country?
We are mainly in Nairobi and Mombasa, but we do have presence in about 6 other cities. Yes,
So many times people prefer to hail a Bolt,
yes,
right? And they have very many reasons why they prefer to hail a Bolt.
yes.
One of them, Anki?
It's convenient.
Mhm.
Yeah. Compared to others, I'm not marketing. Cheaper. Yeah. I think pretty much those I would look at first
Very
because some of them have been swallowed by some of these concerns that we're going to be talking about.
When we say cheaper, what do we mean, Linda?
So we mean, I like to say affordability because, sometimes people...
Affordable. Yes,
exactly.
that's the word actually.
Yes, because it's ultimately about, while we bring the convenience, which, when we started this conversation, you mentioned, we don't want that guy who I know who is 2 hours away telling me, okay, wait for me, I'm coming. So convenience is a very, very big part of it. But also myself as a consumer, if I'm taking the trip, can I afford it, right? We know that times have changed. Our macros are not what they used to be. So I may want to take a cab, but then if I can't afford it, then I have to find another alternative. So affordability is very, very big for us. And that's why we have to look at what can passengers actually afford for each trip, dependent on where they're going, where they're coming from, how long it's going to take.
Okay. So the pricing model, when I take one of your rides, right? So I go into my app, the Bolt app. I'm coming from, say, Westlands.
Yes.
Westland Square. And I want to go to JKIA. And say it tells me it's going to cost me 1,200. And later, that same ride could be 1,400 or it could be 800.
Yes.
What are these variables and how do you determine the price?
That's a very good question. So typically when the price of a trip is being determined, there are 3 main components that come into play. So one is what we call the base fare or the minimum fare. That's the fare that's going to be there for the driver to take home regardless, just because that trip happened. And then we look at how long did this trip take? That's the time component of the fare, because we understand that the longer you're on trip, from a driver perspective, for example, the more fuel you're using, the more costs you're going to incur. So there should be a cost, that is attached to the trip price, which increases the trip price. The other thing, when we look at the base fare, we look at the time, then we look at the distance that was covered, which then, in essence, means if we're moving from Westlands to Mombasa Road, that distance is not the same as moving from Westlands to Thika. So there's no way the price can be the same for both. So when we're looking at the total price of the trip, those are the 3 things that have to be put in play to get the trip price.
The time, though, are you predicting the time it's going to take?
Yes. And so this is where, technology and AI comes in and really helps a lot, because we're able from the back end to look at things, predictively, right? Not reality, but you can look at things that, like traffic, for example. If the roads seem to be very congested, then you can estimate that the time is going to be longer. If it's raining, time is likely to be longer. If it's in the middle of the day and people are at work and the roads are clear, then the time that you're going to take is going to be much shorter. So then, by extension, the trip fare is likely to be lower, because it's going to be a short period of time, even if you're moving from the same place.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Then the base fare. What determines the base fare? And does it also change? For example, every 14th, April will give us an announcement about the cost of fuel for the next 30 days.
Yes.
And NTSA may record some new fees for, licenses and all. Does that affect the base fare?
So what we look at when we're looking at the base fare is we look at, ultimately, depending on the kind of vehicle this driver drives, how much are they earning? Because we recognize that if drivers are not earning sufficiently, they are going to leave the platform. It's a free platform, right? We don't employ drivers. Drivers come and work with us if and when they want. And so we know that to have a business, to have people with us, they need to be taking something home at the end of the day. It's about what's in your pocket at the end of the day. So those are the factors that we look at. And to your question, some of the factors that affect the earnings of the driver is exactly that. What is the fuel price? What is the maintenance price of the car? Are there additional, fees and levies that, a driver needs to take? And all those things we put into our model that, kind of predicts the earnings that the driver would have at the end of a day, week, month, year. And that helps us to estimate for each category, because you might realize that in our app, there are different car categories.
Yes.
So for each category, then we're able to say, this is what the minimum fare should be. So that then when we add on the additional components, the driver is actually going to make sufficient earnings.
Sufficient.
It's a very deliberate choice of word.
Yeah. Very interesting, that word. I'm looking at in August 26th, the platform, Bolt, increased earnings for drivers by 10%.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
To cushion them from rising operational costs, which means, of course, you put into consideration all these things you're saying.
Yes.
For example, you gave the extra 10%, a trip that would ordinarily cost around 200 shillings will grow to, of course, about 220, representing 20 shillings increase. Now, this increment, and this is your words, I believe these are your words. You said the fare adjustment is not just a price change, but also a step towards acknowledging the value our drivers bring to the platform every day. This looked to me like a positive move. However, as a consumer, in September, we're in October, right? Just last month, there was another uproar. There's an outcry, and I would try to reach a driver. They would come and say, tutaenda offline. Mambo ni magumu. Unajua madam kama utaki utembea na miguu yako. Because that's the reality. So then what was the impact then of all this? Do they really get to feel it on the ground? Because you do these reviews, but still there's so many things that clients need to deal with, including agitated drivers who still feel you're taking more from them. So how does this really work?
Okay, so I'd like to maybe take a step back and kind of, go into the pricing model itself, even before we come to that. So for every trip that happens, there's a split, right? There's a portion that goes to Bolt or any other platform for providing that service, for connecting the driver to the passenger. And then there's now the portion that the driver takes.
Okay.
So by law, we have a regulation now. Every app company, the most you can take off of any trip is 18%, which means the driver takes 82%. In practice, if I use a simple example, if the trip was 100 shillings, the driver is going to get 82 shillings. The app company, Bolt, is going to take 18 shillings only. Now, there's other factors that come into play, of course. When we're looking, if you look at just one trip, 82 shillings is not a lot. But what we do as a platform is actually provide the opportunity for the driver partner to take very many trips over the course of the day. And so the more trips you take, the more money you earn. And we do have quite a sizable portion of drivers, if I'm to be very candid, who have no issues. They are actually quite happy with, partnering with us. We've seen them grow. You are on a border. Now you have a car. Now you have a fleet, 2+ cars. There's several of them. But we also know that there's others whose story is not the same. And I'll tell you why. Because, again, it goes to what is the cost? After you take that 82 shillings, how much of it do you actually get to keep as a driver? Now, if my car is mine as a driver, I don't have a loan. It's an economy car. My maintenance costs are low. I can manage myself, right? And we even see take homes of 70, 80, 100K for some drivers at the end of the month. But if my car is not mine, it's your car. You're telling me every day, Linda, I don't care. You need to give me 1,000 shillings. Then, out of the money I made every day, I have to give you 1,000 shillings. And fuel Nyangu.
All right.
And depending on, how we agree, you might also tell me if the tire bursts, by the way, Pia will replace your tire. So those are the things that sometimes cause the noise. And so what we're trying to do as a company is look at what are the issues? Because everyone says price. But is it really price? Because if it's working for some and not others, then maybe we're looking at the symptom instead of the actual, cause of the problem. And so we've realized one of the things that really plagues a big proportion of our drivers is lack of vehicles. And so we've brought in programs that are actually going to help them. So these are the things that we're doing. But of course, the effects cannot be seen now.
All right.
So the driver who still has to pay their 1,000, 2,000 shillings to whoever they're renting a car from will say, this thing didn't help me. And maybe it didn't, just because, the mathematics on their side is not quite adding up. But we do have these solutions that will come into play and hopefully make it better over the mid to long term.
Okay.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll look again into this 82-18.
Yeah.
So we'll look at 82. What does this 82 cover? And this 18, what does this 18 for you cover?
Sure.
Because I want to understand. Maybe you're taking 18 and telling us it's only 18, but all that 18 comes to your pocket. And in the end, the truth is this 82 is only 2 that goes to the partner's pocket.
Sure.
Let's talk about that. Let's break it down. It's 28 minutes to 9. We have Bolt on the hot seat this morning. So for several days, we've seen, people and particularly partners, the drivers, who have been raising issues about these ride-hailing apps and what their concerns have been. And we've invited Bolt to come this morning and we can address this with them. Linda Ndongo is the General Manager for Rides at Bolt Kenya. She's here to respond to all these conversations. Let's talk about accessing healthcare, okay? It's all about conveniences today. Linda, the Aga Khan University Hospital, the main one at on Limuru Road. Have you also seen Aga Khan clinics in other parts of the country, in your neighborhoods and all?
Yes. I think I saw one in a mall near my house, and I was like, oh, okay, Aga Khan is near now. Okay.
Yes. Aga Khan is near now. In fact, let's just take those words, and that's what we'll be using. Aga Khan is near now. That is what they have done. 53 outpatient outlets.
Wow.
53. And they are even doing more and more. And there's a specialty care center in Roysambu where there you can go and you can even get dialysis, you can even get day surgeries.
Wow.
In these other areas, you can go and get ENT, you can get cardiologist, you can get a dentist, you can get very many of those services.
And you can get pediatric care.
So it's a full hospital, in
It
short.
is.
Dentist. Nice.
They're just calling it clinic just because, if they compare with the other one that they have in their main hospital, that other thing can only be a clinic. But in all manner of speaking, it's Aga Khan hospitals, 53 Aga Khan hospitals outside of the main Aga Khan hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. Go, if you ever need to visit a hospital, just think Aga Khan is
Near now.
very
Wow.
This is the Situation Room The only way to start your day.
Hii September, endelea kufurahia na Star Times.
Hello?